I hope you all have had just a good weekend. Um, yeah, it's been hot, really hot. And y'all, I'm used to the heat. I don't know about y'all, but I'm from the H, from down south. I spent all my summers down south. Um, and just sitting outside has never really been a big problem for me. That's how we do. Southwest Louisiana raised Broke Bridge. Ain't nothing to sit outside and cook a little food and laugh and talk all day. And but it's been hot. I have to give honor today to my great aunt who passed away. Her name was Renella May Joseph Thomas. Um, we celebrated her life on yesterday. It was beautiful. Her service looked like imitation of life. There was horse and carriage. We did second line. And it was just such a beautiful way to honor her. But what we really did, and I think what moved me the most is after the funeral, after service, and we all met up at my cousin's house, and it's just my family. It's a lot of us, y'all, and my grandmother who passed away a month ago, her sisters and her brothers, all their children and grandchildren. I want the grandchildren, and then our children. Um, we meet and we get together and we party. But when I say we party, y'all, like we had this like old dance, old school versus new school. And I'm barely making the new school, but I still was with the new school against like my mom and them. Y'all, they embarrassed us. First of all, I want to say they some heathens. But anyway, I'm gonna leave it alone. But we danced. I looked over. It was like not only I don't think I see it in the card table, which is what I usually see, but folks were playing dominoes, chess, just gambling, laughing, having a great time. I seen some folks Zydecoin, and then there was some swing outs, and then we was trapping, like you name it, we did it, and we did all of that in honor of life, right? In honor of life, and I said that because it was mind you, we were leaving a funeral. We had buried someone who was one of the foundations, pillars of what we know to be family. After barely a month ago, burying another pillar of what we know to be family. The reason why all of us were there, and the reason why we're able to love and have joy in the way that we have. But there's still time to dance, right? There's still time to laugh, play games, real stuff happens, right? But in the midst of that, like, we're here to live, and we're here to do all the work that we're set out to do, but in the midst of all of that, part of life is the living. It's the party and the bull crap too, right? That's not just like a waste of time. That is one of the ways, or I say the pillars of your own personal life. So we're going to be talking about some real stuff today. And I hope that even in the midst of the conversation and even in the midst of talking, us, just really getting to the real, that we can also remember that those are not the only parts of life. Death and governments coming down and racism and all these isms, that's not all our life is about. So I'm so happy to be here this morning with an author, speaker, a writer, all that shiggity. And we have been like talking for a minute on social media and just following one another's work. And, time came, and now it's time for us to, share a portion of these, Facebook comments and text on the air with you all. So yeah, I hope you chime in. Good morning, Dumb and Al.
Hey, what's going on, ma'am? Thank you for having me again. My name is Damon Alvarez, aka Mr. Soul of a Man 504. Author, creative writer, speaker, traveler, all that good stuff. When you start this journey, you start out as a writer and as an author, but you end up wearing so many different hats especially in the entertainment realm.
Yeah, and I think that's the awesome thing about creativity, and really the good thing about I would say the times that we live in now, like there is no box,
right?
In particular, especially if you allow yourself the freedom to let your work, whatever that is at that moment, to take you to not just be to stay there and say, no, this is the title, right? This is the label, and this is what I do, and this is the only thing that I.
Right, yeah, because a lot of what it is that a lot of other people would see you and be like, oh, okay, well, they may see you at one event and be like, oh, okay, well, you're just this, and in their mind, they can't comprehend all the other things that you're great at, and that's going to be going on in your life.
Yeah, and I really believe in folks evolving,
right?
And some people are here to do a specific thing, for until they pass, and that's nothing wrong, with that. And some folks are here to evolve into different things, even as it relates to their career.
True.
Just continue to expand, but stay in your lane.
Yeah.
Don't. Sometimes you gotta get out your lane and explore something else, and
True.
But stay on your path. That's
Staying on that path is so key. And so relevant, to your journey on this side.
Yeah, and we had, there was a lot going on last week, and the week prior. There's always a lot going on, but I think one of the things that of course, Black Death, and the violence, of this country, and the lack of value consistently that's placed on the lives of those that has been placed, the lack of value that's just for Black life, and for brown life, and for life that is not considered white at this particular time is it's disgusting.
True, and it's sad that we've given so much in history, and we continue to give so much. It's like we're always the first ones to jump out and help everybody else. But when we need that help, it's like, where is everybody else? Like 911 is supposed to be, 911 is supposed to be something that's supposed to, the ambulance and the police, they're supposed to be the cavalry to come out, and not, if you're in your apartment complex or out selling, water or, T-shirts or whatever it is, or CDs, whatever you're trying to do, that day, that's not the day that you think that you're going to prison or that your life is going to end,
And it's happened over and over again,
right?
With many folks. One of the as a matter of fact, we're gonna get some. I'm not gonna play this. I am, but I'm gonna go ahead and let. In a minute, we'll play a recording of Neil Wilson's father asking for justice for his daughter. Stevens, can we get this on? If I put it on, yeah. So
send it to me.
Okay, send it to you. Okay, sorry, wow. That's what happens. See, you sometimes you just gotta do stuff on the fly. You know what I mean? You gotta do it on the fly. That's how it works.
You just make it up as you go
right?
along.
We make it up as
we just gonna let it flow.
Right? Let it flow.
It is Sunday, ladies and gentlemen.
But I'm gonna text it. That's cool. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, but if you have not heard the name yet, Neil Wilson, a young lady, 18 years old, I believe, in Oakland, California, minding her business with her family, sister, riding a BART, exits the BART, and her throat was slashed by a person that she did not know. You may have not heard of Neil Wilson's name because there's been a very little, in my opinion, outcry about what happened to this young lady. And if you all have 18-year-olds, 18-year-old young women around your home, you know, sometimes it's hard for us to call them grown. But 18-year-olds, that stage of life where you are an adult and yet you are still definitely a folks' baby. And you are on that cusp of life where your whole life is ahead of you. This is like 18 is when you're like, I'm about to step out and I'm becoming who I am. And her family was watching her grow, taking care of business on the bar with her sister, minding her business. But we're gonna play a clip from her father.
My daughter called me crying hysterically. I couldn't understand what she was talking about. She told me to get into MacArthur Bar, and I get here. I see all the police and ambulance, and I run up the platform, and I see my youngest daughter laying up under a tarp dead, you know? I want justice for my daughter. I want justice for my daughter. Please help me get justice for my daughter. Man, I work at Highland Hospital. I see this every single day. I never imagined myself going through nothing like this. That's my baby girl laying up there. You know? I want justice for my daughter. You know? I haven't heard anything from anybody except a few witnesses said it was some white guy in a red striped shirt who just stabbed my daughter randomly and ran off. This is a parent's worst nightmare. I see this, I watch this on TV, I never imagined
It is a parent's worst nightmare, and what continues to ring in my head is him saying he wants justice for his daughter.
Yeah, and the thing is that, you know, it's always said that no parent should ever bury a child. You know, now this gentleman, you know, who's a father, his daughter's now gone, you know, because of some racial attack. And that was, you know, and that's the thing about it is, you know, first they were, you know, they were doing the 911 calls to kind of get prepared, you know, just to kind of test the waters. Now what they're doing is like they're rampantly just targeting, you know, black and brown people, and they're just going to go, and especially like they try to look for like soft targets, you know, people who generally wouldn't really be able to fight back in a sense. So they try to catch you by surprise. So, you know, I was always told, you know, growing up, always be aware of your surroundings, and that's the thing. And I heard that they caught the gentleman that you know, the guy that did it. I kind of call him a terrorist who did it, but you know, they'll probably give him a slap on the wrist, you know, try to get him out of prison, you know, real fast, you know, and it's almost like they're rewarding these people. That's why I call it the just us system instead of the justice system, you know, because when you look at the statue of if you look at the statue of the justice of the lady, it's, you know, she's wearing a blindfold, you know, so I mean that just tells it right there, you know. So it's I mean right, yes, exactly. So, you know, it's like we marched, we protested, you know, it's like all of our older leaders are pretty much bought and paid for, you know. Nobody wants to say that, but I'm going to say it, folks. They're pretty much bought and paid for. So it's like, you know, when it said that we're all we got, that's pretty much, you know, all it is that, you know, even if you're watching your own back, wherever it is that you are, you know, that's something that you have to do. You know, you have to go and get your concealed permit. You know, you have to know these laws. You have to know where you are. You have to know who you are. You know, that's what a lot of us, we're so asleep. You know, we're so desensitized from something like this. You know, it's like, oh man, you know, somebody else got killed. Oh, that's messed up. Let me go do this Drake challenge real quick. You know what I mean? That's where, you know what I mean? I know it may sound a little silly, but I mean, that's where we are right now, you know? And that's the crazy part about it.
Yeah, and I don't know how you plan, I don't know how you protect yourself in a society that one, and most importantly, imagines you as being a threat. Secondly, sets up a sense of protection for themselves so that they can still pursue life, peace, and happiness, even if, or just in case something happens within their life where it could be affected by you. So what I mean by that is, one, you are a threat. If particularly, you know, if you are seen as a threat to the white way of life or white supremacy, being a person that's wrapped in black skin, you're viewed as a threat, something to stop, just in case you shake up the rest of our system. You could ruin our day with your voice.
Right.
You might laugh too loud with your presence. You know, you might make us feel uncomfortable by being in this room. You ruin our peace with your language or with your laughter. And if I check you for being in a space that I believe, I'm saying I as if I'm a white person, if I confront you, right, there's a protection for me so that me accidentally killing you for being in a space that I don't believe you have the right to be in. The law makes sure that I can still go on with my happy life because that's the system we created. That's the system we live in. So how do we build it with that, knowing that or acknowledging that?
Yeah, it's like Denzel said in Training Day, it's chess, not checkers. So, you know, you have to come from a military mindset to know that, and it's crazy to think like this, you know, to think that you're always it's like your life is all, it's like we're in a battlefield and you have bullets flying around you all the time. So it's like you're even in the comfort of your own home, it's like it's sad to say this, but it's like you're never safe. So it's like you don't move. It's like moving to a certain neighborhood, you know, like a quote unquote good neighborhood. That's not going to save you, you know, because you may be like the only face of color in that neighborhood, and they can call the cops on you, you know, and people can do whatever they want in their personal lives, but, you know, marrying somebody, let's say, who's white, you know, and you're black, that's not going to save you. It's not going to save your children, you know. So it's like you have to ask yourself, you know, like, you know, what can I do to really save myself, you know, getting a good education. That's not going to save you. So it's like everything, you know, like everything that we will, you know, so we just have to have a strategic military mindset now.
Which is like, how does that look? How does that look for, because one of the questions that continue to come to my mind is like, I don't know, bro. Like either do we just accept, it's almost like, either you want to assimilate. And what I mean by assimilate is annihilate yourself, your way of talk, your language, your skin color, your hair. You have children until you can no longer see the black skin, or brown skin. I don't know how people of color can thrive in a place with the laws, the institutions, and the people with ideas and the thoughts that they have now. It's like either we have to build for ourselves and move out, or we have to accept this is what it is. I mean, I could be wrong, y'all. That's just something that's been on my mind for a minute. I just don't know, like on a mass level, like on a real level, like we gotta accept the truth. I guess that's really what I'm saying. We really have to accept the truth. This place is not. This place has been, from the moment that we got here,
mm-hmm.
right? It has been a place that we can be used on so that we can improve the lives of others, right? It makes capitalism work to have people that you can label as other, right? And it's part of it is also a numbers game. It makes this system work. The judicial, every money-making system within this country works because someone can be the other, and that other is someone that helps other folks live what we say is the American dream. Because without the other, that dream is not possible. Because we live in a system based on greed. We live in a system based on competition. We live in a system based on selfishness. Me, mine, and that's it. So how can we survive? I mean, what do we do now?
I mean, one thing people have to think is in terms of especially let's talk about finances. We once had I think it was called the Freedmen's Bank right after slavery. And we had millions of dollars placed in there. All of a sudden, that through greed, like you said, and everything else, that money was wiped out. And fast forward to now, we have over $1 trillion in spending power. It's like we, as far as black people go, we kind of spend, they call us liquid gold in a sense. So we spend money, like, like water, and in a sense like that. But
and this is the thing, we do. We spend money like water, and we're programmed to spend money like water. We're educated to spend money like water. That's what our public education, and I don't just mean when you in school, I mean as you watch commercials and billboards and consistently, like this is what we're fed.
Yeah, I mean, we just have to, the Matrix is real, folks. I mean, it is. It's we're in a system like of capitalism. We feel like if we can buy nice things and if we have nice things, the nice car, the nice looking woman, a man, all the followers on Instagram and all of that stuff. But again, that's just superficial stuff. The stuff is not going to save your life. You ask, how can we change it? It's not going to happen overnight. That's the thing. We change our mindset and change our lives. Maybe like a few people around us, But as far as the masses go, we trying to jump in the ocean and trying to save 40 million people, that's almost impossible. So now, we have to get down to the point of, we have to start thinking generationally, because you're talking about 400 years in the game that, we can break it all down, but that would take forever. But at this point, hopefully people kind of know the history and where they are, because trying to break it down and trying to catch everybody up, I mean, we really don't have time for that. So now it's like the people who minds are open, who are trying to use their talents, and who are out there on the front lines, And again, this is military. Now, no, I don't have all the answers, but still, you have to really get with those people, and you have to really start moving. Be it yesterday, be it today, you have to really get out there, and you have to really just make something happen.
There are, and in this day and age, I think, and always, there's always a threat that's greater than just like, okay, are only the black folks, right? There are others. There are the natives who were here from the beginning. There are the Asian folks from all over Asia who are now immigrants. There are the Latinx folks who are immigrants. There are our African who immigrated here from the continent. And there are folks who are practicing, or you can see, who are Muslim American or Muslim immigrant folks who are here, who are also considered the other. Do you think that there is a way that, because it's more of us
True.
than it is of them, how do you see us creating something that is mutually beneficial?
Right, because I'm glad you said that. Because, because as one thing as black people, we get clumped into the people of color thing, and it's like everybody else gets their share of it, but we're kind of like we're at that bottom tier because we don't naturally have anybody to speak up for us. So it's like the one thing we have is we have a lot of talent, and we can use that talent as a resource. And it was always said that we are America's greatest resource, but we just don't. We have to be able to control our own narrative. So I mean, it's not hard to go into other communities, and we give our money to other communities all the time. We just don't get anything back for it. That's the main thing about it. But we can easily work with other communities, and draw out some type of plan, because they love how we talk. They love our music. They love the food. So it's like there's always, you just have to look at the biggest money sellers, and you have to think globally. You have to think globally, so you can, so that you can go out there and really start getting paid. And it's kind of crazy to say, but we have to kind of outsource our talents because we don't get a lot of help within support, even within our own community.
Well, I don't know about that. I hear people a lot say that we don't get support within our own community, but the truth is, if black folks didn't support black folks, we wouldn't have anything as it relates to, particularly when you're when you have a business establishment and it's obvious that you're black. Sometimes black folks have to act like they don't own stuff.
Yeah,
for them to get support outside of the African American community.
True.
But within our community, I look at a lot of businesses, and I mean, don't get me wrong, different people would, patronize and stuff, but if it wasn't for, black people saying, oh, such and such open, blah, 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 y'all go check this out. Or, if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't have, we wouldn't have that. I don't know, for me, it's very important for us to change our narrative and really look at things, I don't know, kind of differently. For example, and I think it's kind of maybe common knowledge now, but I found out this was an African proverb, y'all. This didn't come from Black in America. I mean, Black America, I'm tripping, but the idea of this crabs in a bucket.
Yeah, and I talked about that with my homeboy before.
Right? Crabs do not belong in a bucket. And if y'all really want to see what happens when you put crabs in a bucket, y'all need to look at YouTube. This lady was trying to boil crabs for the first time. Anyway, it has nothing to do with what I'm talking about.
Oh, that little comedy thing. I saw that. Yeah, the crabs was fighting back, man.
Crabs was trying to survive.
Right.
And that's what you do when you're in a space that's not conducive to your well-being. But I don't know. I think that we do a great job at supporting one another. I think one of the things that we do have that's difficult is that we don't have a language. We do have a language, but it's English. And we learned it from the white man. No, I'm just saying. You know, I really believe, I see the power in having a connection to a country. Like, I see the power in being an immigrant. In a sense to where there are some things that are specifically yours that they can't break the code. Right? True. And they can, but it's difficult. There's barriers, like the protection sometimes, which is also like a hindrance, but the protection sometimes is language, right? Sometimes the protection is, and because I speak this language, I can also, even if I'm not necessarily, you don't necessarily have to be from, you can be, and I'm going to give an example, you can be a Chinese American. I'm using them because I love what they build here. Right, so you can be Chinese American, and you can be 3 generations here. Don't know anything different, but still have a financial connection.
Yeah, back
to
home.
Banks that may be here, but they're set up.
Yeah,
home.
and like in China, in Asia.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me tell y'all, if you want to see joy, you go to Chinatown, and don't just go to Chinatown for yourself. Like right here in Houston. In the area, like I had the opportunity, and I mentioned this on the show before, but to just like be in Chinatown and watch the folks when they step out the car and they're visiting like other Chinese people. The first time that I paid attention, because there were some students from Rice, and they were going to Chinatown. I wasn't necessarily not even from Houston, right? But they're studying here, right? But they know where they can go, and it's home, right? But the significance, not in just like the joy of being in a space where, because especially I imagine if you're coming from Rice University, although Rice is diverse. Don't get me wrong, but just being able to, the joy in stepping into your culture, right? What's familiar to you. It's a good feeling because part of it is like an acceptance, right? So that you see that, but then the other part was that the opportunity for business, like and businesses that are created for you, by you, right? They're created with you in mind. The establishments, you know, the things that they sold, some of the things were specifically for the Chinese culture. Now other people can embrace it, they can purchase it, it's good stuff. So everybody wants a massage. That's not necessarily just for, but a lot of the ways in which they do it, because they cater to their community, and they know what's expected home. For example, this is what I mean by that. So now if you're from I'm gonna use Boudin. If you're from where I'm from, you are from, not me, I'm really from Houston. But if you're from where I'm from, right, and you go somewhere and you buy Boudin and you selling to people who are from, now you might could sell to some people who are from Texas who don't have connection to Boudin a certain way, and you can make it filled with rice, right? And you can put some like little choppy whatever meat and put some onions and bell pepper, and people say, oh, that's good because it has a good flavor. Right, and you might get away with some what's that rice, that Uncle Ben's rice or something. You cannot sell Boudin with Uncle Ben's rice to nobody from Louisiana. You know what I mean? Because we know, especially if you're from a place where you can buy it anywhere and everywhere. You know what ingredients to put in it. You know what makes it good. Authentic. Authentic, the quality. Right, so that's what I saw, and that's what I felt in Chinatown, and now it to be able, and that is what I mean by, and then along with that, there's other things, which is communication, papers, newspapers, same thing with my Latinx sisters and brothers, right? So there's a space where you can have opportunity to, so there's like these sales papers, right, and they're in Spanish, right? And then there's these just even regular newspapers or news channels, they're in Spanish, right? And it seems like, oh, that those things are very significant, especially when it relates to the struggle. When you're struggling, it's not necessarily needed if you are thriving, if you can speak, 3 or 4 languages, all kind of different Spanishes, then those things may not seem as important until you lose it. But when you are when you're in a place where there is oppression, right, and you have a paper that comes out on a consistent basis that are catered or can be catered to the people who are opposite of the people who are oppressing, who are being oppressed, then that is an avenue for freedom, right? Just amongst yourself, there's also an avenue to create strategy and to create solutions without other folks necessarily in your business in the same kind of way. True. Right? Yeah. So you building, they don't see it. When they don't see it, sometimes it's not as a big of a threat. And I'm just throwing stuff out there, y'all. I'm kind of just like, not that I'm talking off the cuff, but the name of this show is Imagine a World, and it's not just about. We want to talk about some of the things that happen that affect our community in negative ways, right? Because we really need to imagine something different so that Black folks can thrive. But how better to learn than to look at what other folks have done in a way that's successfully, right? And they may not have achieved the dream all the way, right? But there are ways we can learn from other cultures and other people and create our own solutions.
True. I remember I did something in April called, it was like a basic roundtable discussion, and we just talked about, how do we create our own Wakanda, in today's times, because a lot of people went and saw the Black Panther movie. It made a lot of people feel good, but I think with us, our narrative is, we'll go and hear a great speech, and we'll go and see something that's revolutionary, but, we'll forget it within, 2 weeks or whatever, and say, that'll never happen for us. But, we have so many great examples, the Tulsas, the Black Wall Streets, all the great communities that were in Florida, Louisiana, in New York, and the list goes, what happened in Harlem during the Renaissance, so we can look back at these things and we can learn, and a lot of, and this was pre-internet, so, and, you look at, and a lot of these places popped up like right after slavery, so you think like, man, if these folks can do it back then, we have all of these technologies. I think we have all of the excuses in the world on why we can't do things, but we don't have like that one sole example of saying that President Obama said, yes we can, yeah. So I mean, now it's like we're way behind the 8 ball, and it's like we generally have to, we can look at other cultures, we can learn. We have like our own languages. We have hip hop. Unfortunately, we don't control it. Yeah, we have hip hop, and and hip hop is global. We just have to think about it and just figure out ways to tap into it. That's why I say now we have to think, and everything starts grassroots, right? It starts locally, then nationally, but we have the internet now. All you have to do is a video here and there and get a few followers and let that grow, But you have to, it's not something that you can just do and stop. You have to keep at it.
That reminds me of something. So we're reading this book, and I'm really studying this book. I've read it, so now I'm really studying it, but about a lady by the name of Adrienne Maree Brown, and it's called... Lord, why do I want to say fractals? The name of the book is called Emergent Strategies. And in the book, she talks about these small grassroots beginning. And she pushes back against the way that folks think that you build change and you create spaces, which is like you get a lot of people to follow you, you get like thousands of people. Like that's how you change the world, like in one space. But she brings it back down to communities, and she looks at the way that the earth operates and is created and is formed, and things are formed by looking at nature, plants and food, those type of things. And she takes that, applies it to us, and just this very beautiful, really imaginative way to build, to create. And honestly, it's the way that we've been doing it, in a sense. The way it changed really has always happened. But I believe when we build this way, what we build is much stronger, right? It's like the roots under the trees, under the willow trees, right? So yeah, like that grassroots, that authentic relationship building, conversations like we're having now. Hopefully, our conversation spark for those folks who are watching online on Facebook. Hopefully, our conversation sparks something amongst you and your own family or your friends to just begin thinking about looking at your world. And you know, we talked about our sister Neil Wilson, who was murdered, but there are things that's happening on your street. There are things that's happening in your home, within your own family, on your job. You know, there are ways that we can begin building with the people that we have and that we know. And we can build and create something that can ease the lives of many, or at least begin that building. And maybe you'll leave something for the next generation to build on. We have a few more minutes. But before we go, how can folks want to keep up with you or contact you? How do they do that?
Well, I'm all over social media, Twitter, Instagram. It is Soul of a Man 504. On Facebook, I am Damon L or Damon Alvarez, and just put in on Facebook, just put in hashtag Soul of a Man 504. So basically, it's just all about the Soul of a Man 504. You know, all my stuff, are, you know, old interviews, things that I'm doing, things that I've done, everything will pop up.
Okay, and so the last thing we usually do is to push you or prick you a little bit to share with us what you imagine for us. So, 10, 20 years from now, right, after you've spoke and created and organized opportunities for other folks to have conversation, and you've written these books, what is it that you imagine your work to be able to produce, or, you know, to start? What is it that you would like to see?
You know, it's like Tupac said, you know, if you can't generally spark the physical change, you can spark the brainchild for the change. You know, so if my works can be seen as something, if nothing else, you know, more motivational and inspirational for people, you know, then my job and my time, you know, that I put in, you know, on this planet has been greatly done. So, because I know that everything that I do is bigger than me. It's way, way, way bigger than me. That's why I have you know, that's why I want my works to go global, you know, instead of just in a local or a national respect. Because we are, you know, at the end of it, we're so loved globally. We are, you know, as African Americans here in the United States of America. So, you know, if you know, even, I don't know, 10,000 years from now, if humanity is still around, people can look back at these old interviews and they still understand the language of English. And, you know, they can look back and say, you know, well, who was this guy, Damon Alvarez? And, you know, what did he do? You know, he was just a normal guy who just went for it, you know, and that's the thing, you know, you cannot have any fear in what you do, and you have to, you know who you are. And sometimes it takes time. I get it. You know, I'm still growing and learning, and, you know, I don't know it all, and I'm definitely not where I am going to be, you know, maybe, you know, 6 months from now, or maybe, like you said, 15, 20 years from now. But my thing is just the thing that I do best is just keep creating and keep moving. But, you have to stay on your path and stay on your journey.
It's beautiful. Thank you so much for being here and for sharing with us. Y'all make sure y'all follow him on Instagram, and if you haven't, got the book, The Soul of a Man, right?
Yeah. I've written several books. I have a few kids books out. Chance You're Begging for Trouble, The Adventures of the Bunny Detective. He's like the world's greatest, smartest detective, and he basically goes around and helps kids with all kind of different things. And I have the Soul of a Man book that's basically about poetry. I call that my mixtape. That was kind of like my introduction into the world as far as my talents and everything go. Then I have the Lyrical Soul book, and that's lyrical quotes for her mind, body, and spirit. And that's just basically like 100 positive affirmations and quotes for women of all backgrounds and ages.
Beautiful. Thank you for being here.
Hey, thank you for having me.
You are listening to Imagine the World. I am your host, Seconda. Peace, love, and power. Thank you.